Welcome back. This time we're talking about the pilot episode of Conviction, the new crime procedural from ABC starring Hayley Atwell and Emily Kinney. Now, if you've been watching my channel and my other TV reviews, you'll know that I've been trying to give my thoughts for several pilot episodes for shows debuting this fall. And to be honest, while I was interested in Conviction, it was not one I was planning on doing a video on. At least until I actually watched the pilot episode and really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. Frankly, the premise is not one that I'm terribly interested in, and I really wasn't looking for another procedural to watch. And the only reason I tuned into the pilot episode was because it featured Emily Kinney, best known as Beth from The Walking Dead, as well as Hayley Atwell, best known as Agent Carter, both in her own TV series as well as the Captain America movies. I'm a huge fan of both actresses, so I tuned in simply to see what they were going to do in this new show. And really, I'm glad, because as I said, I really enjoyed this first episode a lot more than I thought. Yes, it's a procedural. If you're not interested in crime procedurals, you're not going to enjoy this show. But the show really hooked me in with a series of interesting characters, good performances, and frankly an interesting premise once we got to the end and I realized exactly what the show was going to be about. So unlike some of my other TV reviews, I'm going to try to keep this spoiler-free as possible. There's a number of revelations about the various characters that I'm not going to get into because I don't want to spoil it. The story focuses on Hayes Morrison, played by Hayley Atwell. She is the former first daughter, and her father was president, and now her mother is running for Senate. Yes, there are definitely some Clinton overtones in this family dynamic. Although, at least in this first episode, it does not try to make any real-world parallels. Now, as far as the fictional Hayes, despite being a successful attorney and a graduate of a prestigious law school, she's definitely a problem child and a distraction for her political parents. She's often tabloid fodder, and definitely sticks her toes in probably pretty much all of herself across the legal line. We first meet her in jail, having been busted for cocaine possession. And she's essentially blackmailed by this DA, played by Cahill, to take over this conviction integrity unit, which is going to look at old cases and confirm that the right person is in jail. This is essentially punishment for her and a publicity stunt for him because it makes him look good. And although she wants to choose her own team, he's already picked one for her. And as we learn throughout this first episode, they all have reasons to want to be on this team. And in addition to Emily Kinney's Tess Larson, the team includes an up-and-coming assistant DA played by Shawn Ashmore, best known as Bobby in the X-Men movies, a former cop played by Merrin Dungey, who played Ursula on Once Upon a Time, and a forensic scientist played by Manny Montana, who was in Graceland. Now, on first blush, as I said, this was not a show I was terribly interested in except for the actresses that were in it. As a premise, getting wrongfully convicted people out of jail is definitely interesting, but one that I'm not sure could survive long-term as a plot device. But what we see and what we're being promised in this episode and in the little preview that we get at the end is that not every case they get is going to be a wrongfully convicted person. So with each episode, we're going to have the built-in mystery of whether or not this particular person was indeed wrongfully convicted or if he was actually the person who committed the crime. And in that, it reminds me of some of the early seasons of Person of Interest, where we got the number each week and we weren't sure if they were the victim or the perpetrator. And that added some intrigue to the show, even in the basic case of the week episodes. That combined with the characters, and again, some of the revelations we get on why they're on this team and would want to be on this team, is what drew me in at the end, and I finished the episode going, wow, I like this show, and it's something I'm definitely going to continue watching, if I can find time with all the other television I'm trying to digest these days. So if you're a fan of crime procedurals and looking for something a little different, one with a good cast and a good group of interesting characters, Conviction is definitely one that I can recommend. At least try out the pilot. If you don't like it, you've only lost 45 minutes or so if you can skip through the commercials. But it could be something that you actually enjoy and something you can add to your collection of shows to watch this season. So if you have seen the pilot episode of Conviction, let me know what you thought about it. as well as what drew you in originally. As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other TV and movie reviews, and until next time, stay out of the tabloids.